Welcome to Cross Pollination on 2MB Studios, a channel where you can see the most varietous of programming on Earth, and that has been certified by the Guinness Book of World Records. I'm your host, TJ Reynolds. Today we are changing it up a little bit and getting away from kind of the performance and music aspect. We have a special lineup of visual artists, people that are going at it, making careers as an artist, and really making beautiful work that speaks to a lot of people. And I'm excited to bring them on and have everybody meet each other. For me, I think my first form of expression is visual art. And I am a visual art teacher. I teach kindergarten through 5th grade right now for a public school. And I have taught all ages throughout the whole gamut. And what I really love about teaching early children, young children, is that they're at that age where, the first language we learn to write, and before we write, we make pictures, we draw. That's the first language. And kids don't think to label themselves as an artist or not an artist. And then somewhere along the lines, and it's usually somewhere around third or fifth grade, something happens where a kid considers themselves an artist or not an artist. And a lot of times it's based on a very narrow definition of what an artist is, which is to draw something realistically. And I think art is something that is really accessible to everybody. And then, it's beautiful. And then you have people that master art and that really dedicate their lives to being able to communicate with that form. And I have some guests today that are masters of their work. So we're going to bring them out and kind of talk about and share a little bit of their work. I think we'll bring people out one at a time, introduce you, show a little bit of their work, and then we'll get a little cross-pollination going on. So I think we'll begin, since I was on the education tip, with an artist who is very talented, and I know also feels really passionate about children and teaching children to be creative and hold on to that creativity. She's a teacher at the school that I work at, as well as a professional artist. Let's go ahead and welcome Jennessa onto the show.
Thank you.
Hey, how are you? Good to see you.
Doing well. It's February break.
Oh,
we made it.
Yeah, it worked out, didn't it? Somehow, yeah. Oh, yeah. I was DJing the school dance last night over Zoom, and
they were so excited.
Yeah, we were just kids grooving in their living rooms. It's pretty cute. So yeah, you teach and you also create. You create art. Tell us about your creation journey. How did it begin for you? How did you get involved in the art?
So as long as I can remember, I have just had this passion for the arts. I was, the nerdy kid that had the notebook tucked under my arm and the mechanical pencil so that it was never dull. And I would just draw every time I got the opportunity. And that was just a big part of what I did when I was bored. And then it became something that I did when I just wanted to be alone. And when I was in high school, I really wanted to go to art school, but I didn't receive positive messaging. So that's how I ended up as a teacher. I was told art isn't like a real job. I'll be a starving artist. I shouldn't go into it. And I needed something different. And I put my paintbrushes down for almost 10 years. I had a daughter, and I kind of just, I don't know, I forgot about art. And a couple years ago, I found that joy again. And it has now become not only a small side business, but it's also my therapy. And especially during a pandemic and during a time where if you are a Black person in the United States, you're probably feeling a little bit more heavy with things that are going on in the past year. It has just been this great escape that I needed. And I'm so grateful to have found it again.
Yeah. I think you touched on something that I think is actually really important, a part of the creative process that gets overlooked, which is boredom. Being bored, being forced to be creative, not. I think that is something that I'm really grateful for. I had a conversation with my son about that the other day, where I was like, yeah, but when you're bored, it forces you to think of something else that you hadn't thought of. And he was like, oh, maybe.
I was an only child. I didn't have siblings to play with. My mom was working all the time. I didn't see my dad often. It was like, what are you going to, we didn't have cable. That was a big part. I did not have cable. So this whole screen time and watching things forever, I didn't have. So I did really just used to get lost in my drawing. And I won't say that I knew that I wanted to paint and I wanted to paint people that looked like me for museums when I was younger. Now that's a goal. But when I was younger, it evolved. It was like, I want to draw cartoons. And I did weird things. Like for a while, I drew Mortal Kombat characters mixed with like cats. I don't know. I did weird stuff out of sheer boredom.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to be a fashion designer or an architect drawing buildings. It was just like there was always some sort of drawing or art involved in what I was doing, even though I wasn't sure what direction I wanted to take it in. I didn't even figure that out until maybe 2 years ago.
Right. Yeah. And you know, you don't have to have it figured out forever either. Like, you know, you have goals, you set them, and the goalposts keep changing as you progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's already in process of evolving. I'm going to master it before I announce it, but it is already in process of taking shape into something that is a little bit of a different direction, a little small pivot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Before we bring out the next guest, I want to look at the piece. You have a new piece that's behind you right there of the Youth Poet Laureate from the inauguration. Can you tell us about that? What was the process you did, like, and when you made that? Because I saw that like maybe the next day or something like that.
I did it the same day. I did it the same day. And I am blessed to be able to channel into this creative zone where it's like, don't sleep, don't eat, just paint until it's done. And after she spoke, not even after she spoke, while she spoke, I had tears streaming down. It was just such a historic moment for me. And she spoke so eloquently and she just touched my heart that when she walked off stage, they panned and I saw a flag. And I realized that it was the first time in at least 4 years, maybe more, that I saw our flag in a different light. And that inspired me to paint her with this flying flag. And I think even the flying flag is in the picture behind me. I used to draw the flag flying in the wrong direction because I thought we were going in the wrong direction. And this is very symbolic for me to flip it and have it flying in the right direction in a piece that is empowering and positive instead of a piece that's showing a pain that's connected to our country. So that was the inspiration behind that. But she's just incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thanks. That's great. We're going to, let's bring out our next guest. Let's go ahead and bring out Cedric Vise 1. Douglas, how you doing, man? What's up, Cedric? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, how you doing? Sorry about that.
All good, all good. Nice to meet you. This is actually our first time talking. I've seen your work around. You have you have a great reputation. You and your partner, who is now your fiance that you work with.
Yes.
Yeah, and your style is super distinct and just like and super badass. So I'm excited to have you on, man. Thank you for doing this.
I'm excited to be on. Yeah, this is cool. The others was it Jennessa? Yeah, she did. That was really good. Hearing about her process was awesome. Happy to be here. Yeah.
Right on. Yeah. So we're talking about process. So can you kind of introduce yourself and let our viewers know what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Cedric Douglas. That's my birth name, but my graffiti and street art name is Vise 1. Vise stands for Intercepting Society's Emotion, one image at a time. And the image could be with spray paint, the image with a found object. It could be remixing something that already exists in the world, just using different motifs from the world to create art. So that's kind of what I do. And a lot of my work is about society, things that go in society. So I'm trying to make people see things differently that I see. Instead of arguing with someone, I want to create it,
Yeah. I think that's a beautiful thing. It's a piece of art gives you the chance to make your full complete statement with an emotional power to it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, so how did you start, writing when you were young and it just kind of continued for you? Was that the journey?
Yeah. There's two incidents. I call them incidents because some people say, "Oh, why are you doing art?" But I love art. So there's two things that happened to me at a young age that kind of put me on this path to doing art. So one was I had an uncle. His name was Daniel Debs Edwards. His name was Daniel Edwards, but his graffiti name was Deb. Graffiti, I always admired. He was just super and copy things because I wanted to be. He's just, just a cool. I was in remember this book and I was copying the book. I think it was of like or something like Jack, something, a Letterman jacket. I was just reading it, focus on it, trying how he would. Then I got my uncle back was two Barrington, and I showed it to him. I'm like, but look at, and he's like, go put your stuff back. I'm like, no, I did this, and he's like, what? We got another in the family, and like that was perfect. And like tell him about this. He's like, yeah. I'm like, you remember that thing? Like kind of. But yeah, so it was the encouragement to know I was able to write what he did, and I was part of, like what he could do, and then I felt like I had that my uncle had back in my uncle. I was like, power.
Yeah,
always look at art as a power because most people can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And people are always like, how do you do this? Imagine, how do you do it? People always wonder how you do it. And I got that.
Yeah, we're breaking up a little bit. We're getting you're getting a little choppy, so we're missing parts of the story. I think I'm getting a bit of the gist of it, but I think
can you hear me now?
Yeah, I think that's a little smoother.
I mean, I could tell the story, but
yeah, still a little choppy. Yeah.
Can you hear me now? It's chopping up still. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know. I'm on 5G right now.
Yeah, it's funny. It does that sometimes. Can you try to give us the gist of that story again? Because I know that was a good one.
Okay. Yeah, so there's things that happened to me that changed my life when it comes to art and inspired me to become an artist, right? One thing that happened was my uncle Danny Debs Edwards. His name was Daniel Edwards. His graffiti name was Debs. So one time he wasn't home and I was in his room and I was trying to redraw something that he drew on a notebook. I was trying to replicate it, and I at it and started trying to draw it, and I was like, wow, I'm getting it. This is coming good, and it just came together so well, and it almost felt like I was like him in a way, embodied. I'd be able to draw it. Mm-hmm. So my other uncle, who's an artist older, I went to show him the notebook, and he's like, before actually when you get home, like, no, Barry, I drew, and he was, we got another artist family, and they're like, got excited, me happy, yeah, it's me, and I even tell him that moment changed my life in a way, and he's like, yeah, I don't remember that. I'm like, what? Like that was an important moment to me, and that was like, it was mainly like the confidence, because I drew. I remember I was younger, but like that was like encouraged that I was fortunate to have two artists in the family, and encouraged. I have all confidence at a young age. Yeah. And the second moment changed as I got older. My uncle Danny got into graffiti, and I think I was around 15 years old, maybe even younger. And he started in him, and I'm like, "What are you doing? What is that?" He's like, "Oh, it's graffiti." And I'm like, "Oh, it's writing." I'm like, "Okay, I want to do that." I see it, but I didn't really know what it was. He's like, "Yeah, I'll give you a name." He's like, but you have to be creative. I'm like, Okay, so we gave me this name Finesse. That was my first graffiti name. Finesse. You things, you really kind of finesse things. So, and I started writing on telebooks on the walls. I'd write it in, shower. I just those books, everywhere. I started writing everywhere. Then I started getting a blog, but that moment of getting my first name and like the art experience, it was all connected through my Uncle Dan. It's great. But like just having artists in the family, like my Uncle Danny and Barry, like it's just I'm lucky. I feel like I could have not had that, and then someone could have been like, art's stupid, and then I agreed with them and I stopped. But I always had them to look to. And then I ended up meeting other friends that were artists. That kind of kept on encouraging me over and over.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
God, like
you're breaking up on us again. I'm sorry. Can we let's check out some of your work before we bring out the next person. So can you, this piece right here, I read a couple of articles in the paper about this piece here, but yeah. Let's see if you can you give us the story? I think it's kind of a little bit self-explanatory here, but this is your partner in business and art and life, correct?
Yes. That's Julie Roth, and we work together. She goes by Jules, and like we've been together for 7 years now. And I've been I should have done it a long time ago, but with COVID, we were supposed to go to Jamaica. We had this big plan to Jamaica to paint a wall, and we had everything figured out. I talked to family members there, and we got a wall. We shipped 80 cans of spray paint to Jamaica. And we were just like, this is in February of last year. February, we shipped the cans. And we were planning it the year before. So like, this is time going by. So then we shipped the cans of spray paint. And then we heard on the news about this corona. We should research. And then I said, corona acceptance because of the corona. We heard that goods because of infection. Oh, the lady goes, no, about this. What? The Jamaican, the Patwa. And then we were like, okay, oh. We started walking to get mad. And then we're like, yo, we're not going to Jamaica. We're not going to canceled. But Julia had no idea. I proposed to her waterfall by the I had it all planned. And people in Jamaica were helping me find the perfect location that I've been talking to for months and months. So it ended up getting canceled. And with Corona, this year has been crazy, ups and downs and what's going on in the world. And, I'm just like, I can't let this year end without, doing this, showing her that I love her and proposing to her. And I was talking to my Aunt Faye, and she's been kind of helping me with getting the right ring and kind of be, she's like my aunt, really. She's been trying to help me through the whole process and what I should do and how to do it. And I asked her for advice. And then on Christmas, just want to know, just sure. And I was like, okay, on Christmas. And it's a crazy thing. Someone that I've been working with, a friend, she's like, I'm going to propose to Jill. I'm like, you even know? I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody. I'm like, how did you know that? I said, I heard part about a wedding in Jamaica. What is it going to be? How did you see at a wedding in Jamaica? And she must put one and two together and be like, he's probably going to do it. And then, but after saying that to her, that I'm going to just do it at Christmas, like wrap it up. And I'm like, that is lame. I was going to do it in Jamaica under a waterfall. I'm going to just wrap it up. Mm-hmm. Even though my aunt's like, get it done. But like, I can't do it that. She does better than that. It's like, what do? And then really tight. Did all.
You're breaking. I'm sorry, we're breaking up again there. But can we skip to the second picture on this post here? No, go back. No, go back. There's like a layer, a little arrow on the actual. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's like this to the story, but that's a place we always used to go to. And we said, wouldn't it be dope if you look to your right and to the left, there's like dope, a nice jazz band on a DJ on the left and have the seat set up where you could see the ocean. And like we had it all planned to do a wedding there and like paint the whole talk to the city. But then I was like, nah, let me just paint them, put it there, and we'll do the proposal. So that's how it ended up happening.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We're going to go ahead and I have a little bit of an echo. Bring out our next guest. This is somebody that I've been working with for a long time on the music tip, on the art tip, on the like kind of organizing tip. He's part of the label that I run, and he's an artist that I've looked up to for a long time because he's an artist in every sense of the word. And it's beautiful to see him out. And he's also one of the probably masterful collaborators that I've known, who's able to work with people and bring things out in them in an amazing way. So let's bring out Michael Graves, a.k.a. DJ Shogun, a.k.a. Dick Fox.
Am I in there?
Yeah. How you doing?
What up, TJ?
Good to see you, man.
Hey, man. Hey, I from the top, I got to give you so much respect, man. Like, I remember seeing you as a youngster, bro, and just like the spark in you has been amazing. And it's wonderful to see you grow as a person because nothing surprises me. But I'm surprised by everything you do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never not impressed by what you come up with, but it doesn't surprise me.
Right on, man. I love to you, man. And
oh, for sure.
Yeah. So you have. Let's start with kind of the present. What's happening right now? You actually have a show that's happening this weekend. And it's kind of tying into the whole holiday of love and
yeah, you know, what it is it's sometimes I got to use the term. It's an erotic art show. It's based on Valentine's, whatever. But it's really about catering to the artists that do nudes, the artists that do art that is based on the human form and human sexuality, and it gets shunned. You can't show this at every like Carmel fest during the day. You know what I mean? Like giving a voice to these artists that, I mean, a lot of us as an artist, we use this therapy that is art to figure out who the fuck we are sometimes. You know what I mean? And sometimes you paint shit just because you want someone else to see what you saw. Like, this shit is crazy. I can't believe this is a real thing. Mm-hmm. So I think Indianapolis was underrepresented in this realm because I'm from here and I've painted it my entire career. I've painted erotic art and nudes and fetish and shit like that. I've painted that the whole time. And, dealing with the stigma that comes with that, but then having success outside of Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I did the Seattle Erotic Arts Festival 3 years in a row. And then I hooked up with 2 other artists from Indianapolis and started bringing them out there just to showcase our talent. Just like, so we did one last year, the Bridge Collective, me and Shannon, the crew.
Shout out to Shannon.
We did one last year right before everything hit the fan. Mm-hmm. And it was because, I was part of a community of artists who were doing this type of artwork and just didn't have any vehicle here in Indianapolis. I was trying to convince my friends to go to Detroit, go to Seattle, go to Louisville. I mean, Louisville, for God's sake. Just like an hour south, I'm trying to convince my peers to continue doing this type of artwork.
Come on, they're more liberal thinking down there. Let's go.
You grew up here, bro. Going to Louisville and you're like, well, how is everything so much cooler? motherfuckers are so chill in Louisville, and it's like an hour south. Anyway, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. I think that's the thing about you know, Indy, and I think kind of towns of that size of like cities where there's a lot of people, but not necessarily a lot of like infrastructure for arts. So it's like there's not a lot there. Like, there's anything that you want to happen, you have to make happen. You know,
No doubt.
but you can't
That's
make it happen. You know.
Yeah, I'm not the first person to ever rock this shit in Indy. I'm trying to carry on the tradition. You know Jennifer K,
Mm-hmm.
Chef Jinxie. She
Mm-hmm.
was throwing erotic art balls in like 94, 95, carrying on a tradition that she had picked up from the 80s. Like, you know what I mean? I'm trying to do the same shit that Phil Campbell was doing. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
to have like, so yeah, that's my current thing. That's my that's what's on the hot plate right now. It's like, but yo, you know, Shannon hooked it up. We got connected with the Kinsey Institute in Bloomington.
Word.
The Kinsey Institute is official.
Yeah, that's like the forefront of sexual research right there.
They recognize our event. Yo, we got on. Like, that's all Shannon. That's all that Bridge Collective, man.
That's dope. Can we take a look at some of your work?
Please do.
Yeah, let's pull some work up from our mans here.
I'm definitely a comic book nerd.
I love it, you know, and I think
I'm a music nerd.
you blur the lines between, you know, your influences, you know, you put these you like to take one panel, you know, or part of a panel and to mash it up with, you know, like sheet music or, you know, all these different things that you have. And it's really, you know, it takes things out of context and makes you reconsider them in a different way as art, the art of that panel, you know, which gets you know, overlooked.
Dude, I'm a classic art student, bro. I'm coming from like, you know, the pop artist of the 70s and 80s. I'm just pulling from Rauschenberg and Warhol and you know, any of those dudes that were doing pop art, and I'm just applying it to my age group.
Yeah.
So when I do Marvel shit, when I do music, sheet music, when I try to combine these pop influences that we all are a part of, you know, it's our group conscious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing. When I'm putting languages that you don't know behind the images that you do know, it makes your brain take that trip.
Yeah.
Because we're all of the same brain. We all are in that same pop culture group conscious where we get anime and we get graffiti and we get classical music and hip hop music, and you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, you know, where we're at, like, I think the aesthetic of kind of like kids today is a little bit of that kitchen sink, like odd mashup aesthetic. Except you bring it in an analog way, you know?
I do.
Which is also, you know, like you each one of these pieces is potential cryptocurrency, you know, like, so hey.
Right.
I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean that's my whole angle is like I have a hand, you know what I mean? I do have a brush stroke. I do have, no matter what I'm reproducing or replicating or mashing together or doing whatever, I go out of my way to show you I have a hand in it. I go out of my way to have brush stroke and have movement and have, you know, metallics and glow in the darks and dumb shit, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, you come from hip hop, you know, so it's like, you know, it's an art of blending your influences together into something new, you know. That's where it's at. So you make
bro.
Word. I think we'll go ahead. Let's bring out our next guest. Is Nayana there? Are we able to bring her?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi, Nayana. How are you?
I've been better and I've been worse.
Okay. I appreciate you calling. I know you're in like a kind of precarious location, but I appreciate.
Yeah, I'll just share. I'm not on video because I'm in the hospital right now. I was hospitalized today, inpatient, and I'll be here for like a week.
Yeah.
Not COVID. Just gonna put that out there.
Yeah.
And I'll be fine because yeah, I have a crazy medical history. I've survived like a crazy amount of stuff that people don't survive. So this is nothing.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but
So,
I'm
you
here.
know, yeah, and you know, I thank you for making your choice to be on here, and I leave it up to you because you have not let your condition stop you in any way. You're a super
Mm,
productive artist,
Not
and
whatsoever.
yeah,
No, not at
and
all. I kind of I kind of draw on like Frida Kahlo's inspiration because she said, as long as I can still make art, I'm good.
yeah,
And that's kind of where I'm at, is as long as I'm still making art, I'm good.
yeah.
So
Def-
I brought up painting with me. It's here. I'm working on it.
I love it. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
for
yeah,
me, yeah, it's a thought that to me, like, I feel like saves my life is just thinking like whatever I'm going through, I can turn this into art somehow. I can make
yeah,
something out of it, and so something beautiful will possibly come out of whatever I'm going through, and that has really got me out of some hairy
that's
situations.
that's pretty much the definition of my life right there. I've been an artist. My mother would say since utero. Um, and some of the earliest pictures of me at like 2 and 1 years old, I'm on the floor with crayons and paper,
Mm,
and almost all of them are on the floor with crayons and paper. And my earliest memory of somebody saying, "Hey, you're good at that," was kindergarten,
mm.
when the teacher pulled my mother aside. Oh, of course, the nurse is going to come in right now.
Okay,
But all
do
this time she didn't. So my teacher pulled my mother aside and said, your daughter's different. She's not drawing the stick figures. She's drawing, you know, people with bodies and hair that go all the way around the back of their heads, and clothing with details,
Mhm.
and all different things like that. And so my mother embraced it because crayons were cheap
Yeah,
and paper was cheap, and I really wanted to do music, but music was not cheap. And she always impressed upon me, music relies on other people. You don't want to rely on other people.
mm.
And I still wish, I'm like, man, I wish I had still done music though. And I later went on to run a record label and all that stuff, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah.
So
Um,
basically,
yeah, I love it.
I'm just going to tell my nurse real quick to go ahead and poke me in the stomach with a needle while I tell these stories. Oh, you're the IV. All right. I'm just going to give her my arm and she's going to put an IV in while I tell some stories.
You're
No big
hardcore. I
deal,
love
guys.
it.
I'm on a podcast. It's
Um,
fine.
Can we,
Yeah,
let's go ahead and
you
show
can. I'm
some.
not on video. You can put the light on.
Yeah, let's show
So why
some
don't you bring up some work? So
yeah,
basically, art became therapy from day one for me. It became taking trauma and processing it into something beautiful from the beginning. So right now you're in just the painting file, which is a lot of older stuff, a lot of stuff that are just random. And then if you go kind of out of this and go to the tab that says COVID, maybe start there. This work I started this work way before COVID because I've been wearing masks and social distancing for 10 years now. I was diagnosed with leukemia on my 30th birthday, and it's been a struggle. So when COVID happened, it was a natural transition. I had nothing to do but produce work.
yeah,
So that's kind of what started to happen. And it snowballed. I'd always been doing work about whatever I was trying to process emotionally. I was in a difficult marriage, and I processed the work that way. Had difficult childhood, I processed that. And so if you look back at all of my work, it's all very seated in trauma and processing trauma. And it really just evolved from there. So the COVID work started just to process my feelings about it. I started looking inward about how I felt about being a patient, and how that process through my brain. The color blue, which I'm currently surrounded by, is my least favorite color because, well, that shade, because it's hospital blue. So a lot of them will have just that. And
mm,
then as that was progressing, I got a lot of attention for that. I got an interview in Austria with it, and some of them are still on a billboard in New York City and all these different things. I kind of got sick of making that work.
Yeah.
Like it's like my body was like, you know what, you did this enough already. So then if you could go up to the tab that says MMIWG, May 5th, 2020 came around, which is, I'm Native American. I'm Anishinaabe from Northern Ontario, and I'm Abenaki and Mi'kmaq from Quebec.
Okay.
And I was on this group online called Social Distance Powwow on May 5th, which is the day that we remember our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And it just struck me because it occurred to me that my own domestic violence experience had been intergenerational, and that it was the same as everybody else was talking about, and that we were connected. So I started this project with one painting to process my emotions, and people reacted. It went viral when I posted it the next day after it was done. And so I said, anybody else want me to paint them? And I got 25 the first day with stories about each one. And I'm working on my 40th right now.
Wow.
And I always have at least 20 in the queue. And every week I'm getting more, and I'm doing it for free. Everybody gets a free print. I'm paying for everything. I'm shipping them. I've a solo show at the Emerson with them right now, and the Emerson show just got purchased and is about to go on tour all over North America.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm a little like, whoa. And it's one of those projects where you do it because you need to process your own emotions and you don't care if anybody gives a shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns into something much bigger.
Yeah.
And each person's a real person with a real story. And some of them are no longer with us. And it's turned into this kind of cathartic healing process for myself and also a lot of the other Indigenous community. So we've kind of been banding together, telling our stories, and I'm painting each person. And I don't know how many I'm going to do. It's kind of it's a never ending one. If you see the girl, if you stop right there, the girl 2 in from the left, you click on her. Yep. That's Cozy Decora. She was found on, I can't see the date on it, but I think it was like May something. It was a couple days after Mother's Day in 2020, murdered at age 22 on the Nebraska-Winnebago reservation. And she was murdered by her fiance in front of their children. And then cut into little pieces and burned in an outhouse. And then he took a nap. And then he was charged with manslaughter in Indian Territory, which is asinine. So that's a good example of this issue. And also, I think the statistics go like Indigenous women are twice as likely to be victims of violence than any other ethnic group. 1 in 3 Indigenous women are victims of sexual assault. And these are just the ones that are reported.
Yeah.
So it's an epidemic. In fact, in Canada, they're referring it, because it's all over North America. In Canada, they're referring it to as a genocide at this point, because it's not just women and children, it's also men. And every single day they're going missing. The portrait I'm working on at the moment are 2 sisters. One was murdered in 2018 and the other in 2020.
Wow.
And so it's turned into a labor of love that I am doing for free.
Yeah.
People have asked me to sell prints. So the prints I sell, I'm using to cover the cost, and then I'm donating whatever's left.
It's powerful and important work. I'm glad you're doing it.
It's healing me, which I think, if it wasn't, I probably still wouldn't be doing it. But that's kind of why I'm doing it, is it's healing for myself. And then people are coming to me saying it's helping them. So it keeps me going.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. And I think it speaks to like when our art can connect and we find the deeper meaning in it, a deeper purpose for it. And when it's most personal, sometimes it's most relatable, I think. You had your Bon Iver in the log cabin moment, and you made work that resonated, and you got your Grammy for it. So, Yeah, so I think we'll go ahead and let's bring everybody back out, because this has been really an amazing journey of just hearing everybody's work. And yeah, it's such a variety of work, but everybody just so connected and on the same page. I love it.
Oh, and by the way, successfully got a new IV put in and one taken out while I was talking.
Metal as fuck.
The champ is here.
Mm-hmm.
That's super metal. I love it. That's hardcore.
Sweet. So tell me, I think I know I teach. Some of us have different other ways that we bring in money. How do you find the time, the passion, and the motivation to keep creating? And what is your kind of discipline structure? Do you feel like you have to work every single day? Do you give yourself a certain amount of time to work? How do you progress? Just throwing that out to anybody that wants to grab it.
I'll jump in real quick and probably annoy everyone by saying I'm a full-time artist.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't do anything else, and I paint whatever I want whenever I want at this point. I tend to work every day only because I want to. I don't have to, but I want to. Just like I called a friend today when I found out I was hospitalized. And I said, go to my house, get this specific canvas, these specific paints, and bring them here. Because I'm just like, I can't spend a week in here not working. So that's what I'm doing. But previously, I owned a cafe. I ran a record label. I waited tables. I was a server. I was everything. So I think that goes to show what most people are doing. It's you do what you have to so you can do what you love.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. That's true.
I feel you.
Jobs that I have too, and I don't know. I've always been a workaholic. Like that's the pace. Go, 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 go. What is stop? What is sleep? I teach during the day, and then I come home, or I still am home. I switch computers.
Switch computers.
Yeah,
That's good.
turn around, it's like a different scene. And our job starts, and I love both of what I do. I love children, so I love teaching during the day, and that's fulfilling, even though it's exhausting. And I love what I'm creating, and I feel like I have a voice that I didn't have before, and I feel like I'm creating people that didn't exist in the art spaces that I loved so much when I was younger, and that is exhausting because I'm not sleeping, but it's fulfilling in ways that I don't know how else I would be surviving right now. So there's a balance. I won't say it's a healthy one, but it's a fulfilling one.
I think that's awesome because honestly, if it wasn't for the teachers, probably none of us would have even continued.
Yeah.
And it's like a serious calling, and I don't even think I could do it.
I ask myself that every once in a while. Teacher probably does too.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I understand. We've all had that weird, as an artist, you want to nurture other artists. You've had that calling to want to teach or share, but then there's that point where you come to where you're like, I can't do kids. I'm sorry. I wish I could. I'm sorry. I try really hard. I can't do
My
kids.
daughter's an amazing artist, and she's always like, Mom, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you draw hands? And I'm just like, oh, Jesus. Sit down and pay attention. Oh, you can't? Oh, I couldn't do that.
Well, I think that's what does good for me is I don't teach art. I teach all the subjects, but I don't teach art. I don't think I could. My patience level is not there. I'm like, just go into your zone. Do your thing. Yeah. So we give TJ all the credit for teaching art.
Breaking it down. I got to break it all the way down. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love it. Yeah, I just spent a few hours just gathering all the kids' work for our digital gallery display that we have, and and just looking back over the semester that we've done so far this year, and it's just like wow, like every single day, being creative with these kids, and yeah, it's just it's a fun feeling.
Yeah. And kids have like some of the most that at that age they have like some of the most wildest imaginations. Like they just unfiltered creativity, and they just think of some of the most amazing things.
Mm-hmm.
And I have my studio mate. He teaches elementary school students, and we always have these conversations. We're always talking about like the kids. This is showing me what they did, and they thought of just like it's amazing. Like they did this, and like they came up with the concept of how it was going to be executed. They wrote it. They helped produce. I'm like they made it's what? And I'm just like reminded of like how like when we get older and we put a filter on things, but like that tapping into that. And he says it energizes him. He's older than me, and he's like it energizes me.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps me wanting to make my art and keep going. Like he sees that future. So
yeah,
being around kids can be a really
yeah. What I think one thing that I've learned, and especially like through the teaching through the pandemic, is kind of flexibility, and really just being open and giving the kids chances to inject themselves, as much as I'm teaching them, giving them chances to teach me and let out what they have going on, and hearing their voices, giving them the chance, because that's the thing. They're going to surprise you by what they come up with if they get the chance, and you reward their creativity. I don't know. I mean, it hurts me when I hear about art teachers or hear stories from people that think they're not an artist, and it always comes back to that art teacher in elementary school or something where they said, "This is wrong,"
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I had that experience in college where I had a professor told me I wasn't a painter, and I was like, well, screw you, I'm going to be a painter then.
Yeah.
And then 5 years later, we were both in the same invitation only show that toured, and I was like, yeah. And we were on adjoining booklets of the little booklet. We're on adjoining pages. I was like, ha ha ha.
Mm-hmm. In your face.
My high school art teacher, she hated me so much. We had class so many times. I was like, I want to go to art school, and she was like, you can't even make it through this class. I was like, no.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
I mean, I've had teachers, professors, and other graffiti writers, it's just tear you up. And it's like, I'm so happy I had graffiti, because graffiti just made me military tough. Because like, if no one likes you, they're gonna tell you. They're gonna cross you out. They're gonna talk about you. You're gonna get beat up. Like going through all that, like school was easy. No one could say anything to you after that. I was like, what? you what? It's just like just been through the military of it with graffiti. Like made it like
Like your teacher didn't like your painting. Did your teacher come out and X your painting? No, they didn't. So.
Did your teacher come out with an eraser and erase your favorite part?
Yeah. Oh, did your teacher do that?
Yes.
Did you put your painting all over the neighborhood and got crossed out? Everyone? Yeah.
Oh, bro. I had a teacher in college tell me that I should keep doing sculpture because I was Black. Not because I was good, but because since there's so few African Americans in the sculpture field, I should just stick with it. And she gave me a D. She failed me.
Wow.
But she said stick with it because
wow.
Oh, and she ended up being the dean.
Wow. See, that's how it happens, right? Oh my God.
Yeah. She gave me a D and was like, stick with it because you're Black.
But we have all these stories of all these negative messages, and I think that's why with my art, I just push that message, like continue do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Pay no attention to what people have to say.
Nope.
You'll find the audience that likes you. Forget the
Nope.
audience that doesn't. Because I'm still finding myself working through tuning out the people that are just not important and tuning in to the folks that are like, that's why I have this shirt on. It's like, know your worth and then add tax. I'm still figuring out how to and add in tax. I think upcoming artists should be doing the same thing. Established artists should be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Because those negative messages, they hurt. They'll set you back.
Oh yeah.
Even the ones you create yourself, you know, you have to
Yes.
find that balance.
Yes.
Because it's good to have a critical eye on your own work, but it can stop you from progressing.
Yeah, that voice in your head too.
The voice in my head is mean enough. I need nothing else.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
I found I got a lot better when I stopped giving a shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I just kind of went with it and stopped being critical and just felt it, and then I stepped back and it's like, holy shit, it actually looks better than it would have.
Yeah. But I feel like
it's gorgeous.
It helps you grow. You know, like, if everybody that saw my paintings was just kissing my ass, I would never get better.
No, it's true.
Please tell me what you think is wrong. I might agree with you and fix it.
Yeah, no, it's true.
If I don't, I'm gonna say fuck you and fuck your stupid opinion. But sometimes you might say something. I'm like, damn, you're right.
Yeah. No, that's so true. Like, I hate referring back to graffiti, but even now, graffiti is so competitive. There's people that I know from back in the days, and people hit comments every now and then. It's like, yo, you gotta keep your game tight,
Yeah.
because I remember I did a piece. I was working with like augment reality. I did a mural. Someone's like, oh, he's using tricks to make his stuff look good. And I'm like, what? I was like, okay. But at the time, no one was really doing that. Working augmented reality, making an augmented reality mural. So I just didn't.
You weren't doing tricks. You were being revolutionary.
It's like, because my whole thing is like, I paint a mural, right? And then once I leave, I want people to interact with that mural and have ways to connect with each other. So by adding augmented reality, people can tell someone else, look, it comes to life, and it could tell more of a story than a mural that's just, it's just painted for what it is. Also, there's another story.
Yeah.
And that's what I was interested in. It's true. You just got to do what you do, and and then just keep on going and just doing it for you. You're not doing it for anyone, like to make people happy. You're doing it to connect with people. If people don't want to connect, then you just keep it moving.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But what's her name? Is it Nayana?
It's Nayana.
It's a crazy thing. I did a class at Montserrat College, the college in Boston, and the professor that I spoke at, his son started that project. He was talking to me about it yesterday, actually 2 days ago. The what's it called? The social distancing powwow.
A social distance powwow. You mean Dan?
The teacher's name is Ari Monford.
Is his son's name Dan Simmons? Because that's who started it.
Oh well, he said something like his son started some project called Social Powwow, Distancing Powwow. It was just weird. I heard you say that. I was like, what? He was just talking about that a couple of days ago.
Yeah. Well, what's really funny is that I met Dan 16 years ago when we were in a show together, and then we both went to Mass Art.
Yeah, so
and then
he's from Boston.
After that,
he was a painting major. This is the same dude. This is his father.
And he was also like a performance arts major.
Wow. Yep.
And then
same
we
dude.
got to know each other there. We showed together at Brown University, and then he stopped making art.
He said his son went to grad school. In New
and
York,
then,
but he had.
And then I gave him a couple shows after that, and then he dropped off, joined the powwow circuit, started to make wampum, and then out of nowhere, a couple months ago, he calls me and gives me the show at the Emerson. So to me, that's seeds planted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's a small world. It's crazy.
Yes, it is.
We over here
It's a small world. Full circle right there.
So we're running out of time here, but I want to give everybody a chance to kind of talk about what's next. What can people expect? What are you excited about looking forward? And yeah, how about, can we start with Nayana?
Yeah, absolutely. Other than me getting out of the hospital. Well, that show's going on tour all over North America. Another one got into a couple other shows. So by this time, 2022, 2023, you're going to see me everywhere. And then that aside, what nobody knows is I'm also doing these weird epoxy sculptures where I'm encapsulating medical supplies in epoxy, and I'm building a large scale installation that I'm hoping to get into a museum at some point. But that's also another processing, emotion, labor of love thing. I'm taking actual medical supplies that are left over from me and building this thing. And that's kind of what I'm just working on. I've got to the point where I've learned that I'm better off just following what feels right. And then when I do that, things just happen.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Sending you some healing energy. Hope you get out of there and everything works out great. Jennessa, what do you have coming up that you can tell us about?
Yeah, so these are some of my smaller pieces. I typically do larger scale work, and I'll be moving into more murals, except for instead of like traditional murals, I'm trying to fuse that with my love of youth and activism. So I'll be working in the city in Worcester, where I came from. I'll be doing some murals with youth. So I'll be bringing in a team of youth. We're going to pay them. They're going to help me with ideas. I'm gonna walk them through the mural process. They'll learn some skills. We'll get some mural crew shirts. So I'm doing that in a couple different places in the city. And then also working on trying to move into new mediums, using epoxy resin like she was talking about, and fusing that with some painting, and then some fabric for a theme of like, we are the fabric, because I feel like the people of an area are the fabric of the community. They're both strong and bright, and that's something that I'd like to continue with the messaging of the next series of work that I create, with a focus on Black, Brown, and Latinx folks. Per usual, kind of my thing.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much. So exciting. Mike, we know you've got this erotic art show going on this weekend, and it's a show, physical show, but you guys are doing some COVID precautions and stuff. So, and he's gone. I think he gets a little shy when we start talking about his work, so he might come back. Cedric, can you tell us what you have coming up or what we can look forward to?
There's a number of things, but the one that I'm really focused on and excited about is I started this project called the People's Memorial Project, and it is all these monuments being taken down. So finding ways to think about what is so all these monuments are taken down, what's going to replace them? Are we going to have history repeat itself? So there's a technique called projection mapping that I'm working with a team of artists.
You guys are doing some COVID.
Hello?
Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, so I'm working with a team of artists that I'm working with, and we projected people that are Black, Latinx, and Indigenous to Massachusetts onto the Christopher Columbus bus that was removed in Boston, and by a nomination process by asking people who that they nominate. So that's the project that I've been working on. But I'm doing another iteration of it, which I'm bringing in spray paint and painting a portrait of somebody, and connecting that with it's kind of complicated through a screen, and it's going to tell their story through video, photography, and my painting that's being put on a time lapse. So that's what I'm working on, like before we started this talk, and I'm that's going to be released at the end of the month. But what's crazy enough, I was yesterday, me and my partner were on a call, so that proposal kind of is going viral, which is crazy. We got interviewed by NBCA News, so it's going to be on the nightly news on Sunday on Valentine's Day. So it's crazy. So like that's not really so but like just that project, Street Memorial, is what I'm working on. That's what I'm focusing on, and then looking forward to the weather getting better.
Yeah.
And trying to do other bigger projects that are in the pipe work. But that project, look out for that. It's coming out soon.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Yeah, it's I think it's great examples there. I mean, everybody here is following their heart, and the success is coming after that. So, that's all we can hope to do. I have a show that's opened up. There's a new Aeronaut Brewing in Everett that just opened. So I'll have some work up there for a couple months as well. So throwing my hat in the mix there. I want to say thank you to Vise One, to Jennessa, to Nayana, to Mike. You guys, it's been great talking to you, talking art, and I hope to connect again with you all soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet all you other artists too.
Nice to meet you.
Great work.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'm TJ. We I think had a successful show. I feel good about it. Thanks everybody for joining us. And we'll be back in 2 weeks. Next week in this slot is 69 minutes of Sex with Me. That's a whole lot of sex puns from improvisers. It's pretty fun. And then we'll be back after that. So thanks a lot. And we'll see everybody later.